Heavy is the head that has to manage all of this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel.
We're now incentivized to buy what we already buy.
Fumbling through college had me building.
I also got some done on the other side.
And that was right around, I would say, May, maybe, right before renewing the lease for this property.
Welcome to the channel, Martha.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, I was gonna say I am getting up there in age. I'll tell you what.
Bills paid by other people. Life was never this good. I had to step back, knowing that it's.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I've been back, and today we're going to talk about Black America. We're going to talk about African Americans. We're going to talk about Black Americans. We're going to talk about why a lot of people are not going to make it out financially, and why I disagree with the fact of reparations. So already there's going to be people who are completely shocked by that. A black man with melanin skin talking about not wanting to receive reparations. You see, the main thing that was beat into me since I was a child was the fact that I am a leader. Be the head and not the tail. That's an African saying that my mom had instilled in me since I was young. You're a prince. My grandfather was the chief of celebrations back in Africa. There's only 50 positions in Africa. He was the chief of celebrations, and that might be why I like to party, but that's for another video. You understand? And so when we talk about hierarchies, leadership, and things of that nature, I grew up with my father being a captain in the African army. When he would walk into a room, people would celebrate him. People would shout his name, Captain Ben, every single time I walked into a room as a 7-year-old, as an 11-year-old. It was a different type of mindset. It was a different type of shift. You may not know what's going on, but you know when someone is important. You see, for me, I understood there were certain things that I had to do just as a young man growing up. For example, my mom would also tell me, I went to college, your father went to college, he even has a master's degree. All of you children must go to college. Now, before we could even think about whether or not we would finish high school, it was already instilled in us that college was where we exited. It wasn't at high school where we exited. And so that definitely set me apart, knowing that there were people. My brother's best friend was the first to graduate high school of all his family members. To them, that was a celebration, and it's truly a historic moment for them, because you are reaching new heights. You're reaching new levels in which your brothers, your sisters, your mom, your dad had not reached. And so that is completely amazing. But for me, college was just another thing. It's like for most kids, high school, completing high school is a normality, is just a formality. For me, college was a formality. And so being a leader, being the head and not the tail, I knew that I had to complete college. And I had a little brother, a little sister. My older brother was in the same grade as me. He would have been a grade above had we not gone to Africa when I was in fourth grade, and he was in fifth. However, due to the fact that we traveled to Africa, he didn't get to retake certain classes during the summer, and we were essentially head-to-head in academics. Now, because I wanted to graduate early and on time, I switched from a BS to a BA and made sure to just pound those classes down. I did summer classes. I did everything that I possibly could in college in order to get out on time. And so I finished within 4 years. I think the average, if I'm not mistaken, is 5 years to complete a 4-year degree. And so, you know, transferring schools, I was playing football and a lot of things. That led to me having to take those summer classes so that I can graduate in 4 years. It wasn't necessarily because I knew what I wanted to study in school or because I knew exactly what I was going to do. No, I was 17 years old trying to be a football athlete, and they chose my classes for me. And so when I transitioned from being a football athlete to a college student, I just chose whatever I felt was best to serve me, because in Africa we only talk about doctors and lawyers. So I decided to go pre-med, right? No second thought about it. And so in this, I knew that I had to graduate on time because my little brother would see that, my sister would see that. And when I finally did graduate and went back home, I knew I was almost embarrassed as a 21-year-old to be back in my mom's home. So I had to quickly get out of that situation. I had to wait 3 months for my offer from Amazon to kick in because we were going to start at the first of the year in January. So January 6th was my start date in 2020. And then that's when I took off. But what truly separates me, or what separates African Americans from Black Americans, I'm not going to say that there's not stigmas, because Black Americans tell me all the time that they're looked at differently from African Americans. I, obviously being an African American, don't know whether or not you face certain type of discriminations from African American men or African men. I think the thing is that they are praised by Africans. They are disdained by African American men. At least this is what I'm told. And obviously they see a division between Caucasian Americans. Now, I'm from Brooklyn, New York City, living in Ohio, and so you hear these things from not only from New Yorkers, but from Ohioans as well. And it was definitely interesting to look at, and I do have a sense of pride for one thing. You see, my grandfather, God rest his soul, he had to protect his family. When when slave traders came to his house, probably of melanin color as well, those slave traders, he protected his household. He had a big mansion, did not allow for any of his family members to be enslaved, and he constantly fought to ensure that that would never happen. And so when my mom tells me that story, right, I already have an understanding of her being a small child, being the oldest of her siblings, and already having that understanding that, we as a family will be united. We as a family will stand together. There's a different type of fight in African American culture. There's a different type of understanding or a different type of responsibility that comes with being African American, because I also see that educational wise, we have to pay for our education. Unlike here in America, where it's fully funded by the government and taxpayer dollars, to go to school, sometimes children have to beg their parents to attend school because money can be tight or it's not enough to go around. So one child may go to school while the others stay home, cook and clean, or find jobs in order to potentially go to school next. And so there's different structures to households where one household may be able to pay for all their kids to go to school, whereas one household may only be able to pay for one of five, or one of two, or one of three. And so the level of understanding of I must finish, I must graduate, I must have the best grades, I must make my parents proud, is because they're putting every last dollar into maybe one child in order to be successful. And so when you see Africans in America, a lot of the times you'll see Nigerians, because Nigerians tend to have the most money in order to travel, relocate, or go to a new state or country. And so being a Nigerian myself and having two Nigerian parents, it's very common that in New York I saw tons of Nigerians, and they all took academia seriously because all of their parents had to be in academics at some point in time before coming to the States. And so again, just the education level or the level of understanding from youth, I saw different types of pictures on the wall. I saw a captain on the wall, helmet, gun, uniform, and I also saw my mom, graduate, cap, gown, big picture, all on the wall every single day. There was no discriminating between what I should do next. I knew exactly what I needed to do next because it was right there every single day for me to see. And so I knew that I was going to be a leader. I knew I wouldn't back down. I knew it was family first. I knew just from all that I've seen growing up that there was no way I could be less than. I knew what power looked like every time my father stepped into a room. And I knew that I wasn't going to have less of that. And so from young, I garnered that type of attention. I garnered that type of strength. I garnered that type of leadership. I showed through example, and people followed. From young, people followed my lead, my direction, because I knew what was next. They would wait for me, and I would take charge. And that's why I never joined the gangs. I never did any of that stuff, because I would not be a follower of another man. And so without my mom having to tell me, or my father having to tell me, don't do this, don't do that, I just knew inherently that as a leader, I don't follow somebody else. And so with that being said, why wouldn't I seek reparations? Well, what I've noticed is that people have weak minds. I know that's hard to take in. I know that's a hard thing to say, and you may feel offended. And if you feel offended, I really don't care. That's just the truth of it all. And it's not because I think I'm better than somebody. No, that's absolutely not the case. But what I will say is that I live a life to where I can be my true and authentic self. And that is one of the reasons why I strive and have reached financial independence, is so that I can talk the way I want to talk, live the way I want to live, walk the way I want to walk, as long as it is within the legalities of the law, right? And so with that being said, I definitely see the fear in people. I see the willingness to just back down, to lay down, to give up, to say, oh, woe is me. Now, everyone faces challenges and hard times, but some people will back down from the smallest of challenges to what I would perceive as small. Meanwhile, others will continue to rise to the top because they face so much adversity growing up that they just don't know when to quit. You see, I think sports is really, really good for kids, because I've seen kids cry over losing a game. I've seen people cry over a championship game. I've seen people cry over losing $1. I've seen people cry over losing $1,000. But there's levels to where people give up. There's so many things that I would not give up on that others will just say, you know what, I'm done. I'm calling it quits. This is why a lot of people don't get into the stock market. I'm scared to lose money. I don't want to lose $1, but you'll spend it all in a blink of an eye online, just scrolling endlessly. And you'll still have nothing. So what did you really lose? You don't know where the money went. You don't know where it's gone. You have nothing. But you could have invested something. Whether it went up or down, why are you scared? You're going to have the same amount of money you had last year, 0. For all of those who don't invest, right? Everybody wants a handout. Everybody wants to say, oh, woe is me. My parents, grandparents were enslaved. I deserve reparations for that. Now, granted, you may not have had the education because of your parents, grandparents not going to school and it trickling down generations. But that's also a cultural difference to where, again, they had to pay for school back in Africa. If they didn't have to pay for school back in Africa, there would be less people who were likely to try as hard, because their parents' hard-earned money wasn't going towards their education. And they see how hard their parents work every single day, blood, sweat, and tears, not giving up. And they know how many kids cannot attend school. And they probably got that beaten to their heads every single day. Even if you were able to send all your kids to school, you know somebody who wasn't able to go. You knew at least one person that wasn't able to go. And so that's going to change you. That's going to mold you. That's going to make you different. You're not going to be a 13-year-old smoking weed like any kid in America today, right? You're not going to be any kid just smoking weed saying, oh yeah, let me be cool with the rest of the kids. Let me start thinking about sex. Let me start thinking about things that I shouldn't be thinking about. These kids were worried about their education. They were worried about their grades. They were worried about being children. It's a big difference. They were worried about success. They were worried about pride, family. We have pride, real pride. I'm talking about pride to really want to uplift yourself and others around you and your people around you. You go to college here in America, nobody tells you what they're studying. Your friends won't even tell you what they're studying in school. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know who they want to be. They just go to school. Willy-nilly, I'm just going to make it up. I respect those who didn't go to college and said, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do before I attend. Because that debt is really important. I was scared. I was scared to go to college in the U.S. because I knew I would have to pay off student loans. I didn't take out any student loans, so I had to pay that off right away. Everybody who knows me knows that story. And so I say all that to say, even my uncle, even my family members were telling me, hey, take out the debt, take out the loans, become a doctor. It's okay. How you going to tell somebody to take out $50,000 in debt that it's okay? You're not paying it. I've never seen $50,000 in my life at the time. So why would I do such a thing? That's the only thing that I could ask myself. And so the only thing that I could do was get the degree and get to work, because I ain't seen money yet and I need to start to see it. And so there's a bunch of pride. There's a lot of family ties. And there's a lot of differences, like just a want to succeed, eating together as a family, wanting more for yourself, and just having a different level of expectation. I don't need somebody to hand me something. I don't need reparations, nor do I deserve it. Nor do I deserve it. And if you are still waiting on somebody else to go ahead and fix your life, you'll be waiting a long time. Maybe your reparations is $1,000, maybe it's $10,000, but whatever the case may be, if you don't know how to manage money right now, it won't matter what you get. It won't matter. It won't matter. You'll still be broke tomorrow, because at the end of the day, it's the people with the assets that will end up with all the money. It's the people with the assets that will end up with all the money. I could keep on going, but I'm going to end the video here. So if you like the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I did just drop a new album called Hearts and Lessons by Gifted Lyrically. If you haven't yet, go ahead and check that out. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.